A substitute teacher, brand new to this rough and tumble reform school, immediately gets confronted by the school's biggest bully. "What's with the attitude, punk?" The bully sneers. "Come on, hit me. Go ahead. Punch me right here in front of all these students." The bully's forced to swallow his pride for the moment. But as soon as night falls, he's plotting his revenge, looking to get his respect back. But what he doesn't know is that this teacher is a total badass. The ambush fails and instead he ends up with a stab wound in the leg. These two are now serious enemies. Then just a few days later, chaos erupts. Anti-Chinese riots explode across Indonesia. Seeing his opportunity, the bully gathers his crew and corners the teacher who's of Chinese descent, trapping him inside the school. They plan to kill him right then and there. So, the question is, who's going to come out on top this time? This movie is based on the very real and devastating riots that happened in Indonesia in 1998, where the main targets were Chinese people and people of Chinese descent. Okay, fast forward to 2009. We're in a school somewhere in Indonesia. A student named Edwin is drawing in his notebook. This rich kid, Panka, wants to get a love letter to Edwin's sister. Just then, she walks by and it's pretty clear she's got a thing for Panka, too. They're all chatting and having a good time when suddenly the school bell rings. But something's off. Feels like only 5 minutes have passed. How is it already time for class? Suspicious. They head back to the classroom where the teacher drops a bomb. All classes are cancelled today. Everyone needs to go straight home and stay inside. Don't go wandering around. That's when the students realize there's a riot going on outside. Edwin and his sister quickly pack their things to head home, but Pank is acting strange, insisting he walked them part of the way like he has some other reason. They don't want to bother him, so they politely decline and head straight for the bus stop. But Panka is genuinely worried about the safety of the girl he has a crush on, so he follows them onto the bus. "Have you tried calling your parents?" While they're both worried, they suddenly see the riots unfolding right outside the bus window. They see crowds of people, mostly locals, smashing and looting businesses owned by Chinese or Indonesian Chinese people. Then, someone on the bus spots Edwin's sister and immediately recognizes that she's of Chinese descent. A mob swarms the bus, blocking it from moving. Edwin's sister is screaming at the driver to go, but the bus is packed and it's stuck. And just like that, the mob swarms the bus, dragging Edwin's sister off. Edwin is still a kid and Panka is no match for these grown men. All they can do is desperately chase after the crowd as they disappear into a narrow alley. Panka tries to use his local status to plead with them, but the ringleader is completely ruthless. He just straight up stabs Panka in the hand with a knife, warning him to stay out of it. Terrified, Panka can only run away from the alley in agony. As Edwin tries to risk everything to save his sister, he gets knocked unconscious by a blow to the head from a metal pipe. When he finally comes to, the alley is empty. His sister and the mob are gone. All that's left on the ground is her discarded clothing. Edwin quickly throws on a makeshift disguise and races back home, hoping against hope that maybe his sister made it back there. But what Edwin sees instead is his house engulfed in flames with his parents trapped inside. Time flies. 18 years later, it's 2027. The ethnic tensions in Indonesia haven't gone away. In fact, they've gotten even worse. Walls everywhere are covered in hateful graffiti targeting Chinese people, and major clashes break out all the time. The conflict between the native population and the Chinese community is impossible to ignore. By now, Edwin is a grown man. On this particular day, he arrives at Duri High School in Jakarta, where he's been hired as a substitute teacher. But this isn't your average school. It's a place for juvenile delinquents. So, the teachers need to be tough, level-headed, and able to handle a particularly difficult student body. The principal is reviewing Edwin's file when he realizes that Edwin is of Chinese descent. "I'm probably the only one here who doesn't care about racial differences," the principal tells Edwin frankly. He fully supports Edwin's work, but he knows students with prejudiced attitudes will definitely try to make things difficult for him. The principal suggests that Edwin should consider quitting while he's ahead. But Edwin has a specific mission he needs to complete at this school. No matter what, he's determined to stay and teach. Seeing his resolve, the principal reluctantly agrees. Afterward, Edwin goes straight to the class he's in charge of, and sure enough, it's full of rebellious students. Even when faced with their new homeroom teacher, they're still talking loudly, showing him no respect. Seeing that reasoning with them is useless, Edwin slams his briefcase down on the desk that finally gets their attention, and the students quiet down and return to their seats. But immediately after, one of the biggest troublemakers stands up, deliberately trying to start something and establish his dominance. Edwin quickly strides over to him. "Your parents probably hate you, huh? Nobody likes a kid who's always angry and good for nothing. Someone as useless as you, always messing things up and causing trouble. Your own dad probably beats you every day." The words hit their mark, striking a nerve with the bully. Seeing that he struck a chord, Edwin stops right there and turns to write on the board. Immediately, someone throws something at him. Edwin, without changing his expression, picks up a chair leg and sarcastically says, "Okay, I know who did that. You're such a coward." The bully's face instantly changes. After class, as Edwin leaves the room, a female colleague, Diana, rushes over to greet him enthusiastically. But Edwin's mind is weighed down and he can't really focus on her. He just tells her they can chat another time and quickly leaves. Then Edwin stands waiting at the school gate, carefully observing each student as they leave, like he's searching for someone. And inside a car parked nearby is the bully's crew. He's still fuming from being humiliated earlier, so he decides to take it out on a random Chinese or Indonesian Chinese person. They drive down the street and cut off an unlucky driver. The unlucky driver becomes their punching bag. He gets dragged out of his car and beaten. Meanwhile, Edwin, still not finding who he's looking for, sadly goes to a bar in Chinatown to drink. The female bartender sees he's down and calls everyone in the bar to cheer him on, shouting his name. The atmosphere becomes lively, and Edwin finally feels a little better. Leaving the bar, he tries to hail a cab back to his place, but he discovers a group of Chinese people on the street corner, getting beaten up by his own students. He immediately jumps in to stop them. The ringleader sees that Edwin doesn't look like someone to mess with, and quickly leads his crew away. Edwin wants to take the chubby student home, but he immediately refuses. Watching the chubby student walk away, Edwin is suddenly lost in a flashback. Back then, his sister became seriously ill. After their parents died in the riots, she was the one who struggled to keep the family alive. Now knowing she doesn't have much time left, she asked her brother to find the son she abandoned years ago. The only clue is that the boy is attending their high school. This is the real reason Edwin came to the school. Back in the present, Edwin starts secretly observing the chubby student. The more he thinks about it, the more likely he seems to be his sister's son. But soon after, the bully angrily confronts the chubby student, confirming that he was beaten up by a group of Chinese people yesterday. He's so enraged he can't stand it anymore. He's not really angry that the chubby student was beaten up, but angry that his authority was challenged. After all, the chubby student is under his protection, and hitting him is like hitting him. The bully decides he's going to exact brutal revenge. Right after that, Edwin walks into the classroom and tells the students to take out paper and pens and draw the most interesting thing they saw that morning. Unsurprisingly, the bully's page is still blank. He's continuing to deliberately defy Edwin. "If you dare hit me today, you'll be fired tomorrow." The bully sneers. "Once you're a dropout, the best you can hope for is a parking attendant. So, your dad beating you isn't so unfair." Edwin's words once again leave the bully speechless. He reluctantly takes out paper and a pen to draw. Immediately afterward, Edwin notices that the chubby student has a real talent for drawing. He's definitely got his genes. As soon as the bell rings, Edwin starts collecting the student's drawings. But the bully in front of him tears up the paper he just drew and spits out, "This isn't over between you and me." Edwin doesn't bother paying attention to the threat and pulls the chubby student aside, saying he wants to talk to him privately. But the boy avoids him like the plague, giving Edwin absolutely no chance. Afterward, the bully bribes the security guard with a bunch of cigarettes, easily leaving the school unnoticed. Then he uses the same trick he used to corner the chubby student, to kidnap one of the Indonesian Chinese students. He takes the student to an abandoned building where the whole gang beats him up, and locks him in a dilapidated room. At the same time, Edwin is sitting in the school library reading a book. Diana doesn't seem to care about his earlier polite rejection. She enthusiastically sits down next to Edwin and strikes up a conversation. But this time Edwin doesn't reject Diana's enthusiasm. On the contrary, he actively talks to her. Diana even suggests that they go to the bar in Chinatown together. Edwin agrees to everything. So, the two of them go to the bar, but the female bartender, seeing Edwin bring Diana in, immediately looks unhappy. It's clear she has a thing for Edwin. Edwin notices the situation and turns to Diana, saying that he has no romantic intentions towards her. Diana's smile falters slightly, but she immediately pretends to be relaxed and shrugs, not pursuing the topic any further. Then Diana asks him why he came to teach at such a dangerous school. Edwin just says he's looking for someone, but refuses to reveal anything else. Just then, an emergency news bulletin starts broadcasting. A new wave of riots has broken out, and this time the scale is enormous. The tragedy of 18 years ago could very well be repeated. Everyone in the bar falls silent, but some optimists are deluding themselves, thinking that the riot zone is still far away from them. They choose to continue using music to lull themselves to sleep. Leaving the bar, Edwin offers to take Diana home first, but Diana says, "You're a Chinese Indonesian. You're in more danger than I am." Since Diana put it that way, Edwin has to agree. The two head back to their respective homes, but soon after, a masked man with a knife tries to assassinate Edwin. Luckily, Edwin is skilled in self-defense. He not only blocks the sneak attack, but also snatches the knife and kicks the guy's thigh. The accomplice, who is secretly watching nearby, sees that things aren't going well and hurriedly drives over to pick him up. The assassination plan fails completely. The next day, when Diana learns that Edwin is going to tell the principal the truth, her first reaction is to advise him to think again, because once he reports it to the principal, he'll be forced to expel the bully, and the conflict will only escalate. But Edwin remains firm in his decision. He can't accept that this kind of student continues to exist in the school. Sure enough, the principal immediately calls the bully in for a confrontation. After confirming the facts, he announces his expulsion. But after he leaves, the principal says, "Edwin, you're twice the age of these kids. You should have been able to handle this better, but you chose the most confrontational approach. I've never expelled a student before because being expelled means you've abandoned them. You've only been here a few days, and you've already made me do something I hate." The principal's words leave Edwin speechless. He can't argue. When Edwin returns to the classroom, the bully's gang members angrily skip class right in front of him. After class, Edwin calls the chubby student over and says that he'll be decorating the classroom for National Day tomorrow, Saturday, and hopes he can come to help. The boy hesitates after hearing this, but finally nods. Little do they know, a crisis is secretly approaching. The next day, Edwin and Diana arrive at school early to decorate the classroom. Then, the chubby student also leads his friends to help. As the four are happily decorating the classroom, the bully's gang is preparing to cause trouble. They stop their car in front of the school gate as if waiting for something. Sure enough, soon after, the school security guards saw the emergency news that anti-Chinese riots had broken out in the area. Worried about the safety of their families, they hurriedly left the school. The radio also broadcasts an emergency bulletin. Riots are escalating on the streets. Due to the limited number of police in the area, the government advises everyone to stay indoors and limit going out. This is exactly what the bully's gang wants. They immediately get out of the car and open the trunk, which is filled with all kinds of weapons. The gang enthusiastically grabs weapons, preparing to vent all their anger on the bully. At this moment, the chubby student runs to the security guard's office to borrow scissors, but he sees the news about the riots and discovers that the bully is leading people, carrying knives towards them. Terrified, he hurriedly runs back to report the news. They immediately run towards the emergency exit, but it's locked shut. The key is in the security guard's office. The group has to go back in the direction of the security guard's office, but unfortunately, the main gate has already been locked by the gang. Their only option is to find the emergency exit key. But before they can find it, the gang catches up. Luckily, they manage to escape into a classroom, avoiding getting beaten on the spot. But the problem is that there's no cell service in the classroom, which means they can't call for help. Seeing that everyone is being implicated because of him, Edwin wants to take responsibility himself. But as soon as he tries to open the door, Diana stops him. The gang is carrying so many weapons. It's clear they want to eliminate everyone inside. But Edwin still thinks that they're just students. They wouldn't dare commit murder. But the chubby student tells him that the bully has already killed someone. The student who went missing earlier in the school was killed by him. He was drunk at the time and sent a video of the murder to the chubby student to brag. The chubby student was afraid of being killed, too, so he didn't dare report it to the police. Just then, the bully's shout suddenly echoes from outside. He says that if they just hand Edwin over to him, the others can leave alive. Don't believe his lies. They won't let us live because we're all witnesses. Just as Edwin is panicking, he suddenly notices a back door in the classroom, but the lock on the back door is also sealed shut. The glimmer of hope for survival is immediately extinguished. Outside, Langa's father, the chubby student's best friend, sees that the riot has been going on for a long time, and his son still hasn't come home. He can't reach him by phone, so he goes to the school. But his son's classmates lure him inside. When he hears his son scream, "Call the police," he realizes that something is wrong, but it's too late. The father tells his son to hide in the classroom and not come out. He's held down and beaten mercilessly. Now Langa's father becomes a hostage in the hands of the bully to force Edwin to open the door. He orders his men to give Langa's father special care. Hearing his father's cries of pain, Langa is driven nearly insane. In this critical situation, Edwin proactively speaks to the bully through the door. He says he's willing to come out and open the door, but on the condition that he let the others leave safely. "I'm sorry. If what I said was too much, I'm truly sorry. I was wrong. But think about your family. They must be worried about you. I believe they love you enough. Shut your mouth." It seems like mentioning family is the bully's weak point. No wonder he's been going after Edwin. Who told Edwin to bring up the family the first time they met? The bully thinks for a moment and agrees to Edwin's request. Following Edwin's instructions, everyone steps back and registers their name one by one. After confirming that everyone is completely safe, Edwin opens the door. But instead of letting the others leave, he pulls Langa's father inside. By the time the bully chases after him, Edwin immediately slams the door shut. "Why didn't you let us out? Why? I don't trust them. Who knows what those thugs are planning?" But But the situation now is that Langa's father is seriously injured and needs to be taken to the hospital immediately, otherwise his life will be in danger. In desperation, Edwin has to try to negotiate with the bully again, saying that the previous agreement is still in effect. He doesn't know what the bully is scheming, but he nods in agreement and leads his men away. Edwin opens the door for Langa and his father first, telling them to take the opportunity to open the back door. Seeing the bully wanting to rush in, the three quickly close the big door. But waiting for a long time, Edwin doesn't see any movement from Langa and his father. Edwin realizes something is wrong and rushes to confront the bully. Did Langa and his father leave safely? The bully sees that Edwin has found out and brazenly orders his men to drag Langa and his father back. Edwin explodes with anger. He is consumed with hatred of the bully's cruelty, and he grabs his hair and pulls it hard. Clearly, he never intended to let anyone present a day go. Sure enough, the next second, he orders his subordinates to get some gasoline from the car. But as the guy starts, a patrol car drives up to the school gate. The guy hurriedly explains that he is siphoning gasoline from the car to give to his friend, who ran out of gas. At first, the police are suspicious, intending to go into the school to check. But it seems like even heaven wants to mess with Edwin. The police receive a distress call, and they no longer have the patience to pay attention to this trivial matter. They rush to the riot area. When the guy brings the gasoline back to the school, the bully immediately pours gasoline on Langa's father, wanting to use that method to force Edwin to submit. But the time for Edwin to think is too short. After a 5-second countdown, the bully lights Langa's father on fire, turning him into a human torch. Poor Langa beside him can only blink as he watches the scene. His screams are mournful and desperate. Right after that, taking advantage of everyone's carelessness, Langa rushes outside, wanting to run to the police. The bully immediately orders 2 of his subordinates to chase after him. Unfortunately, the main gate is locked shut. Langa fumbles around trying to open it, but is quickly caught up by his 2 former friends. Losing all reason, Langa snatches a knife, intending to go all the way with the student in front of him, but is immediately stabbed by the other guy. Meanwhile, inside the classroom, Edwin is in extreme pain. He doesn't understand how things turned out this way. Outside the classroom in the small group, the guy with the hat, who's usually kind and timid, couldn't bring himself to hurt Langa's father in the first place. Now, seeing someone die right in front of him, he can't help but cry quietly, but the bully sees it. The guy with the hat says he wants to go home. The bully asks, "Are you going to call the police?" He hurriedly shakes his head, explaining that he's just too scared and only wants to go home. In fact, not only is the guy with the hat scared, but the other kids who have never killed anyone are also uneasy and worried. The bully shouts at them, "As long as we kill them all and throw them into the riot zone, no one will know what we did. Otherwise, we'll all be going to jail." At the same time, Edwin inside the classroom has calmed down. He knows they can't just sit here and wait to die. There must be another way to escape the school. So, Edwin tells the chubby student to stand guard at the door to avoid making the bully suspicious, while he and Diana go to another room to find another way out. The principal was right. I shouldn't have handled the conflict that way before. I also shouldn't have come to this school to teach. Finally, Edwin tells Diana the truth. He came to the school not to teach, but to find the son that his sister gave birth to after being harmed and then gave to someone else. This is also his sister's last wish. Edwin also tells Diana that he feels that the chubby student is the nephew he's looking for. So, even if he dies, the chubby student must survive. Afterward, the two find an abandoned room and discover a ventilation ducted in the ceiling. From Diana, Edwin learns that the signal jammer is located in the security guard's office. He tells her not to turn off her phone and to wait for him to turn off the jammer so he can call her. After speaking, he crawls into the ventilation duct, but unexpectedly ends up in the bathroom right when he runs into the bully and the guy with the hat. Seeing the bully pull out a knife, the guy with the hat is afraid and can only tremble, hiding in the toilet stall. But in the next second, the bully kicks down the door and swings the knife wildly at his accomplice. After a few stabs, the guy with the hat is completely silent. The curly-haired guy standing by is so scared that he doesn't dare open his mouth, and Edwin in the next stall finally witnesses the bully's brutality firsthand. Right after that, the bully holding the knife returns in front of the classroom door. The others, seeing that only 2 people came back, ask where the guy with the hat is. All that answers them is silence. The answer is all too clear. Their faces immediately turn pale. They didn't expect the bully to be so insane that he would even kill his own accomplice. At the same time, Edwin quickly goes down to the first floor. Only at this moment, the 2 guys who chased after Langa are still on the first floor. Edwin, taking advantage of their carelessness, sneaks into the security guard's office. He finds the signal jammer and immediately turns it off. He also picks up the emergency exit key on the floor and quickly returns to the classroom. By now, the bully has noticed that Edwin has been silent for too long. So, He orders his subordinates to find a way to break the lock on the classroom door. After the guy with the hat was killed, who would dare disobey him? One of them suddenly remembers that there's a flamethrower in the lab that can be used, so he quickly brings it back. The curly-haired guy uses it to spray fire directly at the lock. In no time, the lock is burned away. The bully kicks the classroom door open, but the inside is empty. At this time, the chubby student and Diana have returned with Edwin and crawled into the ventilation duct. The bully realizes that the people he's after have escaped right in front of his eyes, and goes completely crazy. He orders his subordinates to split up and chase after them, telling them to kill the people immediately. Meanwhile, Edwin and the others quickly run into the Tupper sewers to avoid being discovered. The three are forced to hide in the lab temporarily. Unfortunately, the two guys also enter the lab. The three hold their breath, hiding under the table. But the two guys start arguing as soon as they come in. One thinks that the bully shouldn't have killed the guy with the hat. After all, he was one of them. The other thinks that the guy with the hat was timid anyway, and it's good that he's dead and out of the way. The two sides argue more fiercely, even coming close to fighting. Taking advantage of the noise to cover himself, Edwin quickly gives the key to Diana, signaling her and the chubby student to run towards the emergency exit, while he stays behind to lure the enemies and buy them time to escape. Edwin picks up a model bone and deliberately makes noise to lure the two guys. Soon, the three face each other directly. Edwin even tries to persuade them to turn back, but who would listen? The two even grab weapons and charge directly at him. Edwin raises the bone to block the attack. Although he is forced to fight 1 against 2, thanks to his agility, he is not at a disadvantage. As a result, the two students decide to really try to kill him. In a desperate situation, Edwin has no choice but to risk his life to counterattack. The bone in his hand slams hard into one guy's stomach, and blood immediately soaks his clothes red. The other guy, seeing this, becomes enraged and rushes forward, swinging his weapon wildly. After only a few moves, Edwin has his neck pinned. In a critical moment, he grabs a spray can and sprays it directly into the other guy's eyes. He cries out in pain and releases his grip. Edwin seizes the opportunity to escape the hold, picks up the other guy's weapon, and runs straight towards the emergency exit without looking back. Not long after, the bully discovers that Edwin has injured 2 of his subordinates. In a fit of rage, he swears to take Edwin's life in revenge. Back with Edwin, he's running up the stairs when he hears a sound from above, so he quickly hides between the landings. Sure enough, the two guys don't notice him. Afterward, Edwin continues climbing, but unexpectedly runs into the curly-haired guy who's looking for him. Edwin doesn't want to hurt any more students, so he proactively drops his weapon, but the other guy still charges at him. Edwin immediately crouches down and flips him over, nearly causing him to fall down the stairs. Edwin holds onto the curly-haired guy, demanding that he drop his weapon, but he continues to resist. Edwin is forced to let go, and the curly-haired guy falls straight down to the first floor and goes to meet his ancestors. In a flash, on the other side, Diana feels that the time is right and proactively tells the chubby student that Edwin is his uncle. Hearing this, the chubby student scratches his head and adamantly insists that he definitely cannot be Edwin's nephew because his mother is in Malaysia, his father is also Malaysian, and he has a twin brother who has been lost for a long time. So, he is definitely not Edwin's nephew. Diana is immediately confused, but this is not the time to figure it out. So, to take the opportunity to run out the emergency exit and escape. At the same time, Edwin once again faces the bully, but he doesn't want to kill anymore. He tries to persuade him not to continue making mistakes, but he doesn't bother listening and charges at Edwin with the knife. The two immediately engage in a fierce battle. It has to be said, the bully is a real daredevil, making moves that are all about taking lives. Edwin can only continuously defend and is then thrown into the bathroom. But when he had just recovered, the bully immediately started a second round of attacks. This time, Edwin can't defend very well and takes several direct hits, being dragged and thrown around. Right after that, he picks up a large knife and swings it down at Edwin. But this time, Edwin is struck with anger and doesn't bother holding back anymore. He also starts attacking him ruthlessly and finally pins him to the ground. Just then, 3 of the bully's subordinates run over. The bully urgently cries for help. Think about your families. He's a murderer and you're not. You guys still have a future. Get going. Thinking of the bully's ruthlessness and heartlessness, the 3 subordinates hesitate for a moment and ultimately choose to leave. The bully, seeing this, completely loses it. He recklessly throws himself into the attack. This guy is rotten to the core, beyond help. Even if Edwin wants to save him, it's useless. In his head at this moment, there is only one thought, and that is to kill Edwin most brutally. When Edwin manages to react, he accidentally kills him. Edwin keeps saying sorry to him, but it's no use. There's no saving him. Right after that, the riotous crowd loses all reason, carrying weapons and swarming into the school, taking advantage of the chaos. They crazily steal and vandalize. Edwin doesn't have time to think much, so he quickly puts on a disguise and heads out of the school. When the signal jammer really loses power, the phone that Edwin received from the chubby student gets its signal back. Finally, Edwin sees the video. It turns out that someone spread the news that the bully was Chinese, which is why the bully picked a fight with him. In the video, he admits that his mother was indeed Chinese, was harmed, and gave birth to him. From a young age, he has been wandering and living like garbage. After speaking, he swings the knife and kills the other guy. So, the bully was Edwin's own grandson. Realizing this, Edwin is in extreme pain. He actually killed his own grandson with his own hands. Just as Edwin breaks down and cries, someone recognizes him as being of Chinese descent. Edwin has no choice but to risk his life and run away. In the nick of time, a car comes to pick up Edwin. The car is full of people of Chinese descent. For many years, the driver has been persevering in rescuing them. My name is Panka. Edwin quietly extends his hand. It turns out that Panka has never forgotten what happened all those years ago. He has been persevering in helping people of Chinese descent amidst the riots in Indonesia. This warmth is all the more precious. The story comes to an end here. At first, Edwin came to the school to find his grandson, but ended up getting caught up in the vortex of the juvenile delinquency school. The bully looks arrogant, but is actually also a victim of these conflicts. His mother was a Chinese woman who was harmed and gave birth to him. He grew up with discrimination and could only use fighting to protect himself. His hatred for Edwin is not only a teacher-student conflict, but also contains hatred for his own identity and resentment towards this unfair environment. The surprising ending leaves everyone in disbelief. The grandson that Edwin has been searching for turns out to be the bully, whom he personally sent to the afterlife. This is not a coincidence. It is clearly a can of humanity caught in ethnic conflicts between the indigenous Indonesians and the Chinese like a thorn that can never be pulled out, sinking deep into everyone's lives. But the movie also shows us that hatred is something that only causes tragedy to repeat itself.